What's up, y'all? Kyle Hamilton here. I want to give a quick shout out to Lucas, Connor, and Ryan in the Week Zero podcast.
Running out of time, finally throws, and it is gone! Touchdown, Tyrell Roberts! Hit backwards, up in the air, it's on the ground, it is down! It is over, and the Irish have knocked off number one Clemson! Herbert's got it. Stiff arm again, quarterback in the clear, inside the 10, a hat-trick, a touchdown from Justin
Herbert. Hello and welcome to the Week Zero podcast. As you can see, I am the host this week, and I'm wearing this terrible hat because I lost a bet. I am so happy. So happy that Connor doesn't get to be on this show and make fun of me for wearing this hat because it was a bet between him and I. I am Lucas. USC ya later. Obviously choked another Pac-12 title, being a heavy favorite. McKnight, and then Ryan, Colorado blowhards. I knew we were going to get some shots at Colorado in this show. Obviously, the big hire of Deion Sanders and what was his name? Dylan Edwards.
Yep.
Was the flip from Notre Dame.
Well,
he hasn't committed to Colorado yet. He
yes.
hasn't flipped, but he did decommit from Notre Dame. So tough blow for Ryan, but he says it doesn't matter. So
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Always remember that.
Doesn't matter. Until he's a potential Heisman winner at Colorado.
Yeah, and then we're all upset because I don't want to see Colorado be that good. I think they're going to end up being good, but not that good. Please not that good.
Hey man, Shedeur Sanders, we'll see what he can do against legit Pac-12 competition instead of playing Southern every game.
He hasn't entered the transfer portal yet.
Well, no, Deion already named him as the starting quarterback. You didn't see that? He hasn't even entered the transfer portal. Yes.
And then Travis Hunter
is most likely going to go there too.
Well, he announced that he wasn't leaving Jackson State.
Really? I thought he entered.
Yeah. No, he said that he wasn't going to leave Jackson State, and that's his home, and that's where he wants to be. So who knows nowadays with these kids and their word? It's never 100%. So until National Signing Day, we just never know.
I just don't understand it. It's funny because he got the offer from Colorado on Tuesday morning, then meets with Marcus Freeman and that Tuesday afternoon, tells Freeman, "Yeah, don't worry about Colorado. I'm sticking with you guys." And then his dad actually laughed when he was asked about the Colorado offer. Like, "Oh, you guys, is that a threat to Notre Dame?" And then literally we go to yesterday and then you see, Dylan Edwards decommits from Notre Dame. So yeah, these kids, they have no loyalty until they put pen to paper. And then as we've seen with the transfer portal, even then they still don't have loyalty. So it's just a different era with college football, I guess.
Completely different era, and it sucks. And there's the loyalty with commitments. There's a loyalty with staying at your team and not entering the transfer portal. Obviously, we have seen what is like 1,500 kids enter the transfer portal.
I believe it's almost 3,000 at this point.
Or the first day. Yeah, the first day it was like 1,500 or 1,000 or something like that. A lot of kids entering the transfer portal, and and part of it is like a loyalty thing where I'm like, these kids aren't staying loyal, or it's three things. It's loyalty. Maybe they just they're not loyal to the team they went to, and now they maybe have a chance to go to the team that they wanted to go to in the first place. For these younger kids, or these the smaller kids that are like 3 stars, maybe you didn't get an offer from Notre Dame. You just had to play at Virginia for a year, and now Notre Dame's offering, something like that. It could be that. It could be the one that we all see, playing time. They just don't they just don't want to work hard enough. Honestly, that's how I see it. Is they don't want to work hard enough. They don't want to stay there and try to win that starting job. And then the other one is a lot of time injuries will draw them away. You look at guys like Trey Benson, the Florida State running back. He was an Oregon running back, and then he got injured, transferred out, and now he's killing it at Florida State. Other guys like JT Daniels had a lot of injuries. Didn't have the success at West Virginia that he wanted to. So it sounds like he is back in the transfer portal, which is hilarious. He's JT Daniels is basically like the Josh McCown of college football. Like he's just going to every
he's going to play for every school.
Yeah. He's going to try to go to every conference. He was in the Pac-12, SEC, and he was in the AC or West Virginia's in the ACC, right? Big 12.
No, Big 12, yeah.
Why am I blanking? Yeah, Big 12. Now he's going to go to the ACC somewhere, guaranteed. So he's trying to jump around, or maybe even the Big 10. I mean, Wisconsin's looking for a running back or a quarterback with Mertz entering the portal.
Oh, God, who wants Graham Mertz?
He'll go to Oregon State or something like that.
No, watch him go to Oregon just to back up Bo Nix.
God. I wouldn't even want
you wouldn't even want him in the locker room, man. You want to know what that rubbing off on Bo?
Our walk-on quarterbacks are better than that guy. So, I mean, I don't even think he would be rostered.
He'd just be given.
They'd cut him.
He'd give him a preferred walk-on, but not even be a walk-on.
They would just cut him, or be like, "Hey, you want to play tight end because you ain't playing quarterback."
But no, man, and then you see guys like a Frank Harris, the quarterback at UTSA. I seen something on Blake's video. That kid is in his 7th year of college ball at UTSA, and back-to-back Conference USA champs. You know, he's back-to-back Conference USA Offensive Player of the Year, and he's staying at UTSA. Not going to transfer, even though he probably has tons of offers from Power 5 schools. You see Drake May, who we all know, quote unquote, has been getting some offers in terms of like money to come to other schools, and then he sticks by his word and sticks at UNC, which I respect just in general, because he could have dipped from North Carolina and gone to play at like in Oklahoma or Alabama or whatever, But, I have respect for that. But I think that, this is a big thing that college football needs to get it under control in terms of, like, these guys, these schools having their people offer these kids millions of dollars to enter the transfer portal when they haven't even entered yet. I think it's different when they've entered the portal. I think then that's kind of like, oh, it's free range. But when they haven't even entered the portal yet and you're basically poaching players from teams.
Yeah, that's
That
basically
to me should be illegal.
Tampering, isn't
it?
I mean, I agree. I mean, it's no different than saying, hey, say the Tennessee Titans had a bunch of money or something. They were like, hey, Patrick Mahomes, we can pay you more than the Chiefs are paying you. You should come over here. Just get out of your contract.
Just say that you don't do that. They can't even do that at the NFL level. How is it allowed in college?
Yeah.
USC got away with it with the whole Jordan Addison thing, but it's like you can't really blame them if you can get away with it,
Yeah, USC got away with a lot, and that's the thing. Dan Lanning spoke about this the other day about the portal and whatnot, because I think Oregon's lost we've lost 8 or 9 guys so far.
Surprised seeing Justin Flo, because that dude was supposed to be a projected NFL first or second round pick.
I wasn't surprised, and the reason for it is he had a lot of injury problems. He couldn't stay on the field. Noah Sewell, I think, is going to stay for another year, so that's a big part of it too. And Jeffrey Bossa is there as well as an inside linebacker, so he just wasn't getting a lot of time. I think he could be talented. I think he's really talented, and he'll be good somewhere else maybe, but he just needs to get his head straight and take care of his body a little bit more, because he was just hurt constantly. But yeah, so we lost a lot of guys, and Dan Lanning basically said, like, we wanted to give these kids opportunities to go somewhere else. You know, like you have to have a transfer portal in some way so that these kids that aren't getting enough time. I mean, we've seen the transfer portal work out for so many people, or just transferring in general. I mean, you look at Baker Mayfield, you look at Kyler Murray, now Caleb Williams this year, who's probably going to win the Heisman. Notice how they're all linked to Oklahoma. Strange. But you see a lot of guys transfer from one spot to another and do really well and do really good for themselves. But nowadays we're seeing these guys. Look at JT Daniels. He won't just stick around in one place. Like, I think even if he would have stayed at USC for his entire career or his 4-year career, I think he would have been better off than him now bouncing around. And now NFL teams are going to say, oh, this guy couldn't even stay at one place, couldn't stay at 2 places, no 3 places. Now he's at his 4th college and he can't, pan out. Like, NFL teams are going to see that kind of stuff and, be a little bit critical of it.
And the fact that, the guys he bolted USC because of was, Keaton Slovis and Jackson Dart. Slovis is kind of in the same boat. He transferred from USC to Pitt, supposed to be the next Kenny Pickett. Didn't play very well this year at Pitt, and now he's in the transfer portal again. Jackson Dart probably is the best of the 3 that he's actually stayed at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know, man. And I think JT Daniels is a really good quarterback. I think he can be an elite quarterback on a team. The injury at Georgia, whatever the whole thing with that was, where he was supposed to be the starter over Bennett, didn't end up working that way. His career has just been kind of weird. And it's like, I've seen people compare him to Tate Martell, but it's a little different because Tate Martell didn't really have the play to back up the talk. JT Daniels is really freaking good. If he's on, if he was at Oregon right now, can you imagine? I mean, look at Bo Nix at Oregon. Can you imagine if JT Daniels was at Oregon? How good that team would be?
Yeah, I think the difference is, and the hard part about it is the West. It's kind of like the West Coast treatment with these guys growing up on the West Coast and getting, I mean, especially for him going to Mater Dei, getting everything that he could have ever wanted. I mean, from the the best facilities in high school football, the best coaches in high school football. I mean, Mater Dei is yearly the best team in all of high school football in the country. So to go from there and then go to USC, the hometown team, not very far out of from where Mater Dei is, and then to not pan out, I think that's kind of something that'll it's something that'll mess with your head. I think for JT Daniels, like, I agree that he is a talent and a great talent, but I think there's something going on in his head where he just can't put together the play that he has shown, in high school when he won. I mean, I'm sure he won a national title in high school at the high school level and like 3 straight, state titles.
And I believe he was the number 2 quarterback in his class. So
he was number 1.
Number 1, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, he's got talent. It's just he showed flashes of it at times, but it's like whether at West Virginia he doesn't have the playmakers to do it, or I believe he was like one of the most sacked quarterbacks this year, so he didn't have an O-line, first of all.
Yeah.
And I don't believe yet he's been with a team yet where the coaching staff's kind of given him free rein. I mean, he got benched this year for a true sophomore quarterback that had never played
I think
before.
he could have made a better decision on his location and where he went.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it was one of those things where, the recruiters were like, you're going to come in and you're going to be like, what's his name? That guy that was thrown all over the field. Oh man, it's driving me crazy. I can't remember. He was number 7 for West Virginia. He played at Florida.
Oh God.
It's Will something.
Yeah, it's Will. Oh God, isn't he still on the Panthers?
I think so, yeah.
God,
or something. He's
what's his name? His brother's like a big influencer.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
It's Will something. But yeah, I know what you mean. But I think, and West Virginia went into this year having a lot of expectations. I mean, I've seen people say that they could have been a dark horse to win the Big 12, and JT Daniels would have had like a Heisman type year, but it's just like I said, it didn't work out. But let's go ahead and let's get into our best and worst thing from championship week.
Yeah, best and worst thing. Go ahead, Ryan.
So I'll go with the worst. The worst thing I saw was, just the fact that Max Duggan put so much effort into that game against K-State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that kid probably won't win the Heisman just because he doesn't have the flash of Caleb Williams. And he plays at TCU, which is, let's just be honest, is not the same brand as USC. But to see what that kid did, that entire drive to get them to tie the game, where he's basically sitting there, could barely walk, was collapsing on the field after every play. I mean, if that's not a defining, like what the definition of a Heisman moment is, I don't know what is. And it just sucks because they should have won that game, if we're being honest. They had fourth and third and goal at the 1 yard line, or at the 6-inch line. The third and goal run, in my opinion, was a touchdown, but they just couldn't see his knee.
I don't think it was a touchdown. However, my issue with this, and I'll interrupt you here. My issue with that game and the end of that game, I will never understand why coaches don't keep in a critical situation. Coaches don't keep the ball in their best players' hands. Like there should have been a read option or a bootleg, something with Duggan on that fourth down, something to get his legs moving. I know he's hurt, but he could have given you one last play.
They ran halfback dive 3 times.
Yeah.
You get stuffed. Okay, you get stuff. Maybe you want to run halfback dive on third and goal, fine. That's whatever. But it's fourth and goal and the game's on the line. Kansas State hadn't been able to stop the quarterback run all game long, and I don't know if maybe it was because they didn't want to put Duggan in harm's way. Or
might have been smart. I mean, they still made it to the playoff, so
like, what if he gets killed on that play, or like takes a big hit or something? But I don't know, man. That's a Big 12 championship, and I know it doesn't seem like it means anything because it didn't cost them the playoff. But you can't tell me TCU. If I was on that team, I would be like, Coach, why the hell aren't we giving it to our best player in that situation?
Yeah, I agree. But Kansas State overall played a great game, and
Deuce Vaughn and Will Howard,
gotta hand it to him. Will Howard, I think, is going to be on the dark horse list.
Do we see Adrian Martinez transfer again? I believe he's got one more year of eligibility.
If he doesn't transfer, then Howard is, and Howard's going to be a hot commodity.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
what was your worst thing?
My worst thing. My worst thing, easily, and it's a specific play, and that's the blocked field goal in the LSU game. Gets it blocked, and then the LSU players were just like standing around doing nothing. They didn't care. And then meanwhile, the Georgia guy is already 50 yards downfield scoring a touchdown.
Well, some of the Georgia guys even had walked off the field. Like they were like, "Oh, we blocked the kick, we're done." But
Macon's in here as well. Yeah, that was the worst thing. The fact that LSU was able to score 30 was kind of impressive, I think. But they put in that other quarterback. I didn't see. I didn't really watch much of the game.
I didn't either.
Did Daniels get hurt? I don't know if he got hurt.
No, he got benched. He got benched.
Oh, did he? Okay.
For that Nussmeier kid who was like a 5. Yeah, he was like a 5-star or something 2 years ago.
But yeah, worst thing is definitely that kick coverage because that should never happen. And like their special teams coach had to be livid.
Well, their special teams coach Brian Polian used to be the Notre Dame special teams coordinator. And Notre Dame fans have always complained about our special teams when he was there because we always made dumbass mistakes or got kicks blocked and stuff like that. And that's what, if anything's been in the Achilles heel of LSU this year, it's their special teams. I mean, their special teams has cost them 2 games at least.
Yeah, one.
The Florida State game.
Yeah, I would say that one in the Georgia game, probably the two ones. I mean, not that it really cost them the Georgia game, but I mean, LSU outscored Georgia in the second half.
Yeah.
So
that was when Nussmeier came in, and he already said that if Jaden Daniels comes back for another year, he's transferring.
He'll be gone. Yeah, I would too.
So did the Howard kid that's there now, the guy that Brian Kelly was dancing with last year.
Oh yeah,
that quarterback. Yeah, he said if Jaden Daniels comes back, he's transferring as well. So.
There's so many Daniels.
There's too many Daniels, man.
All right, go ahead with your best thing.
Best thing I saw, and I'll probably steal it from you, Lucas. Utah absolutely beating the crap out of USC. They beat the ever living crap out of Caleb Williams that entire game, and the fact they got down 17-3 early, which reminds me a lot of like that Notre Dame game, because Notre Dame got down 17-3 as well. The difference between Notre Dame and Utah is was the way more experienced team, and you've seen that once they got down 17-3. Yeah. Literally anything and everything that could have went wrong for Utah in that first half went wrong, and they still were able to tie the game up at halftime. That their running back, what was it, Jaquez? That dude is an absolute beast, and he's going to be a monster for years to come for that Utah team. Cam Rising, talk about a guy that, he's had his ups and downs this year.
Still might come back.
You still might come back, so you might not have enough of Cam Rising, Lucas. I mean, Utah winning back-to-back championships and the fashion that they did just speaks volumes of, that program as a whole and where they're at, where they're headed. That was the best thing I seen.
They have the third most Pac-12 titles, and they weren't part of the original Pac-10, which is pretty incredible. Best thing I saw, obviously love watching USC lose. But I'm going to say watching Tulane run away with that game against UCF. It was looking like it was going to be a 12-round battle between them and UCF, but they just kept coming. And Michael Pratt is a stud quarterback. I don't know how much years of eligibility he has.
He's
a junior. He's a junior, so yeah, he'll have 2 more years of eligibility. I mean, if you look at his statistics over the last 3 years, 20 touchdowns, 8 picks in his first year, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions second year, and then this year, 25 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So he's just getting better each and every year that he plays. And good on Willie Fritz, the head coach for Tulane, getting Tulane back 11-2. I believe Tulane, weren't they? Didn't they used to be in the SEC back in the day? I'm pretty sure that was.
Yeah, they did.
They used to be in the SEC, and everybody's like, put Tulane back in the SEC. sub them out for Auburn or something.
I'm surprised that because how American fans are, American Conference fans, when they get a chance and they have a really good team, they always, you see the "We Want Bama" signs come out. Yep. You didn't see that this year, maybe because Bama has 2 losses, but.
Probably. Hey, but Tulane, they got a big game against USC coming up.
That Michael Pratt versus Caleb Williams.
It's gonna be one of the better games.
There might not be any defense played, but
yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm super excited, actually.
But yeah, so we'll go ahead and move on. We'll look at the final playoff rankings for this for this year and any issues we have with it. Let me just pull that up. So, yeah, we obviously got the top four. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State. I seen Bama fans sitting there complaining on Twitter about how they should have been in over Ohio State and TCU, which I completely disagree with. But nevertheless, what do you think, Lucas?
Well, the issue with the college football playoff rankings and the difference that people don't understand is that these are rankings. They're not power rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Power rankings are this team would be favored over this team, and that's why they're above them. Now, Alabama, I think, probably would be favored over TCU if they played right now. They'd probably would
be favored over Ohio State.
They probably would be favored over Ohio State if they played right now. However, that's not how the college football playoff rankings work.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing Oregon top 15, Oregon State at 14. I'm glad they actually honored the head-to-head there between those two. I think, let me see. Yeah, I like it. I can get behind it. I think maybe if you were to make a tweak, I would maybe put Penn State over USC. Just a small tweak there. The only reason being is Penn State's only 2 losses were to 2 of the top 4 teams in the country.
And USC got beat by the number 8 team twice.
USC got beat by the number 8 team twice. So I think you should get knocked a little bit for losing to the same team twice in 1 year because they say that that's the hardest thing to do in any sport is to beat the same team twice in a year or more than once in a year.
And, Washington, you could honestly say the same thing for Washington as well. They have 2 losses. Their 2 losses are pretty bad, except for UCLA. They lost to Arizona State, but after watching the USC-Utah game, I think if Washington plays USC, Washington would beat USC. But
yeah, I would. You could say that too. I also think that Oregon right now would beat USC, but
yeah, I think
that's just the difference in the power rankings from college football playoff rankings. Is that I think USC probably would be favored against both Washington and Oregon. However, I think Oregon. With the running backs that we have, Bucky Irving having the most broken tackles out of any running back in the Pac-12 this year, and with USC's tackling, it would be a rough game for them. And then the same thing with Washington, they were breaking tackles against us all over the place, that pass game is incredible. We'll go into it later. I don't think Michael Penix Jr. is a top 10 in the Heisman this year, but I do think Washington's a really good team, and what sucks is that Michael Penix is coming back, so they're going to be likely a top 10 team to start the season next year.
Yeah, and another thing I didn't like about this is, it doesn't really matter, but the back end of these rankings, I still don't get why NC State is ranked as a top 25 team. I think Troy and UTSA would have a solid to decent chance to beat them. I do like that they finally gave UTSA and Troy some damn respect because we've been saying that those are 2 teams that should be ranked a lot of this year. Yeah. This might be just nitpicking, but I also don't like the fact that South Carolina and Texas, and even LSU, in my opinion, are all ranked ahead of Notre Dame because all of those teams have an 8-4 record. Notre Dame has the best win out of all of them in a decisive win against Clemson. I guess you could say South Carolina over Tennessee. But then if you look at the losses, South Carolina has blowout losses to Florida and Missouri at home. Now, we lost to Marshall, yes. We lost to Stanford, yes. But we didn't get blown out by bad teams. So I don't know. It's kind of nitpicking, but And I think we'll see it when Notre Dame plays South Carolina in the Gator Bowl. I think Notre Dame blows them out. But I don't know. It's just something it bothers me because I think if you just watch those teams throughout the year, I think Notre Dame could beat any of those 4 teams ahead of them, except maybe UCLA because of their offense.
I would, I don't know. I think UCLA and LSU would probably beat Notre Dame right now. And the reason being is that Notre Dame, it's hard because you never know when Notre Dame is going to be Notre Dame, and you never know when they're going to be
The team that lost to Marshall.
Notre Lame, basically.
Yeah.
So because we have seen a really bad Notre Dame team this year. 3 out of the 4 times they play, 3 of their 4 losses was a really bad Notre Dame team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can agree. They didn't get blown out, but it was a really bad Notre Dame team.
Yeah.
All their wins, they looked incredible though. I mean, did they have one close win? I think they were all blowouts.
No, they were all blowouts. Oh, no,
Yeah,
Cal was a close win, but
that is true. It was like 21-17 or something, 24-17 or something like that. Yeah, that is true. But most of their wins were all blowouts. 7 of the 8 wins were blowouts. So you never know. I think for LSU, they had the 2 they had the one really bad loss
to Tennessee where they got dog.
Well, not so much that. I wouldn't say that's a really bad loss. I mean, you got blown out, sucks, but Tennessee's a really good team. The really bad loss is Texas A&M.
Oh,
last
yeah,
game of
that's
the season. However, I don't think they really – I don't know. Part of me thinks that they didn't really give a shit
about that game.
either they didn't care about that game or they were overlooking A&M and
getting ready
just
for Georgia.
Get to the Georgia game, and A&M is too talented. I mean, I know their coaches aren't very good, and they haven't been able to put it together. But A&M is way too talented to try to look past them. And they got. I mean, it's what happened.
A&M is basically Notre Dame, like with the bad loss to App State. The bad loss to. They struggled mightily against the worst team in college football in UMass. But the difference between Notre Dame and A&M is Notre Dame progressed throughout the season. A&M really didn't. They just kind of stayed stagnant. But, yeah, I see what you mean. I get the thing with is South Carolina and Texas. I know it's just because Texas, people want Texas to be back really bad. But they've looked very inconsistent this year as well. But I guess you could say that about anybody from 17 to 22, all 6 of those teams have had really good moments, but really bad moments. And but
I think it was mostly just the way that Texas ended their season. Okay, we'll talk about Deion in a second. We kind of spoke about it a little bit, but I think it's mostly the way that Texas ended their season. Yeah, they had the loss to Oklahoma State, but their last 4 games, they beat Kansas State, who ended up winning the conference. They lost to TCU by 7, and then they smashed Kansas, and then they blew out Baylor. Just kind of the way that they ended the season, I think, is the reason why they're up so high. And, of course, they should have a win. They should have a win over Bama. They should have a win over Texas Tech, but they lost both of those games. I think Texas is a good team. I think they deserve to be where they are. I don't think they're going to win their bowl game. I can't remember who they play, but it's a decent team.
So do you think, in terms of where Notre Dame is ranked, do you think that they're ranked where they are because of more of the fact that, hey, we still have to punish you for the losses against Marshall and Stanford? Or is it more of we're not really respecting that win against Clemson?
I think they're ranked where they are because of the loss to USC. Okay. I think they would probably be.
If they had beaten USC, they probably would be where Washington is or Penn State.
Yeah, even if they wouldn't have beat USC, say they played some scrub team on that last game of the season, ended 9-3. I think they would be right in the range. They'd probably be 13 through 16 in one of those spots, even at 9-3. But to lose the way that they did against USC, I think it hurt them a lot, and it put some of these other teams that, like, I mean, LSU obviously dropped, but Tulane had to move up. Oregon at 15, Oregon State had to move up a lot. South Carolina had to move up a lot, obviously, winning 2 big games. Texas finishing off the season very strong. You just kind of got to put it – Notre Dame just kind of fell in place at 21. And I don't think it's a bad spot. I mean, 21 versus 19. And, at least you're not playing – at least you're not top 15.
Yeah.
You're not top 15 playing a fucking unranked team.
Yes.
I hate that so much. Top 15 teams.
They
Top
should have
15
made
teams
Notre
should
Dame
never
and
play
Oregon.
unranked.
They should have made Notre Dame play Oregon. I don't understand.
100%.
Can you imagine how much money that would make you from as a bowl game perspective? Like,
they could have put us against, any other like ACC type school. North Carolina State, great. I would have played them 100%.
Ranked team.
Yeah. I would have played them 100%. I don't get it because like the bowl, I get it's like bowl tie-ins, whatever, but like Florida State, number 13 in the country, why are they playing a 6-6 Oklahoma team that's unranked? I don't get it. Number 18 UCLA playing unranked Pittsburgh. I
don't
just
understand it.
It doesn't make any sense to me why they do that. I get North Carolina's decent. They're pretty good.
It's probably because they wanted to see Drake May against Bo Nix and Oregon. That's probably.
We've never played them.
You never have?
So that's kind of cool.
But I'm surprised. And you know what? That's weird because technically that means that North Carolina took Notre Dame's bowl spot because how the Holiday Bowl works is like it goes the Orange Bowl, the Goodyear, the Cotton Bowl, and then whoever's left goes to the Holiday Bowl, and then whoever's left after that goes and plays an SEC team in the Gator Bowl. So the committee basically said that North Carolina, while they're unranked, is more deserving and is a better team than Notre Dame, and therefore should get to play Oregon, which I don't get.
Oh my God.
You see, Lucas, we saw what Notre Dame did to North Carolina earlier in the year, but
the line for this game,
Oregon, North Carolina.
Oregon has come in at 14-point favorites.
Oh, I believe it. You guys are going to probably dog walk them, Lucas.
Well, Josh Downs isn't playing, so I think that's a big thing. And then something, whatever the dude, the corner, something Duck isn't playing. I think they have 2 corners that entered the transfer portal, and then Josh Downs. But 14 points is a lot of points for a spread. That's pretty crazy.
But Lucas, they don't play defense. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. We have at least a little bit of defense.
You guys will probably drop 50 on them. But anyway, before we move on, I guess with the whole argument, Alabama should get in over TCU. I mean, what do you think about that? Because I'm glad that they didn't do that because that there would have been riots in the street. But
I don't agree. I do think they avoided the Michigan versus Ohio State rematch, which is nice. However, I don't like the fact that the conference title game just didn't matter for TCU.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of that just because, it didn't matter. It quite literally did not matter at all. They just didn't come home with a trophy, and that's literally it. So you could have put TCU below Ohio State, but I don't think there was any world where you put Bama in that. They lost to Tennessee, and
LSU
should have lost to Texas, lost to LSU. Even if you want to compare losses, you look at Georgia obviously hasn't lost, Michigan hasn't lost, TCU their only loss was to number 9. Ohio State's only loss was to number 2. Bama's losses were to 6 and 17. So it's pretty clear to me who deserves to be in the top 4. It's pretty obvious to me. Yeah. So. Are you muted?
My thing must have unplugged. But anyway, we'll do the Heisman top 10. So Lucas, if you
this will be fun.
go first.
So my top 10, I was actually putting it together, trying to figure out what I was going to do for this. It's going to be a little strange. So do you have if you do have can find a photo or something somewhere of like the actual top 10, put that up and then we'll see. Compare it.
Maybe that's not it. Let's see. Okay. All right. I got it pulled up. All right. So yeah, there we go.
Beautiful.
So I mean, how does yours kind of line up in terms of that?
I'm rounding it out now. Let's go. Yeah, do that. Okay, so I have my thing about the Heisman voting and the Heisman everything is that I don't believe that wins should be a quarterback stat. Like I said before, we were talking in the chat. I had this argument where somebody didn't think wins were a quarterback stat. I think they are, and I think it's very obvious when you look at Stetson Bennett. The reason that he's a Heisman finalist is because they went 13-0 this year. It's not because he did anything great. I mean, he had 27 touchdowns to I believe it was 6 interceptions. So it's not like he had such a monster season, some crazy season this year. So obviously wins matter. But for my top 10, I have 10. I have Bryce Young. I just really don't think he put together a good enough season to be as high as 6. Number 9, I have Drake May because of the statistics. Number 8, I have Blake Corum. Probably would have been a lot higher if he could have finished off the season, but obviously got injured. Number 7, I have Bijan Robinson. Don't understand how you could have Bijan below Blake Corum, but Bijan won running back of the year, the Doak Walker. So I don't really get that based on the Heisman. Number 6, I actually have CJ Stroud.
Ooh.
And the reason why I have him so low is because he honestly kind of dropped off at the end of the year. Like he had a really quiet end of the season. Played really poorly. I wouldn't say really poorly, but just didn't play very well against Michigan and lost that game pretty bad. Struggled really bad. I know it was terrible wind conditions and, rain and whatnot against Northwestern, but he played an awful game in that game. So that drops him down to 6 for me. Number 5, I will put Stetson Bennett because of the wins and whatnot. I still don't think he should be a top 4 Heisman finalist. That's why I have him at 5, but the wins definitely get him there for me. Number 4, I know you can maybe call it a homer pick, but I still think Bo Nix should be in that top 4. I still think he should be at least in that top 5. I mean, he had 42 touchdowns, only 6 turnovers on the year. They did go 9-3 and ended off the season with 2 losses. 2 out of their 3 games, or 2 out of their last 3.
Oregon also had a tough, along with USC, had one of the toughest schedules down the stretch.
Yeah, gauntlet of a schedule down there. And he obviously got hurt. That was a big thing too. I think he could have put up better numbers and probably would have at least squeaked out one of those last 2 losses and got back to the Pac-12 title, or got to the Pac-12 title. So I still think Bo deserves to be up there based on stats, based on what he's done. I mean, he beat 2 top 10 teams this year. So put him up there. Number 3, I have Hendon Hooker, a guy that he almost had, I think he had just under 40 touchdowns this year, but he also only had 2 turnovers, which is pretty incredible. Great touchdown interception ratio. Even though he got hurt, they got destroyed by South Carolina, and I think that's the reason why he isn't a finalist this year. But definitely put him up there. Number 2, I have Max Duggan. He definitely put together a crazy game for the ages for the Big 12 title game. But I just don't think he did enough this season, as much this season statistically as Caleb Williams.
He also didn't start. He didn't start the first game. So.
The first game, yeah. But Caleb Williams also put up, I think, 7 more touchdowns than anybody else in the country, than the closest, which I think, yeah, Bo Nix and Drake May were tied for second, and then Caleb Williams had like 5 or 7 more touchdowns, which is pretty incredible, along with only 5 turnovers. So Caleb Williams, to me, it's pretty clear who our Heisman front runner is.
So I did mine a little different. So I'll go with my top 10, starting at 10. So number 10, I kind of went like an honorable mention route, because these 2 quarterbacks are guys that don't get the national notoriety because they play at the smaller level schools. Wasn't Bailey Zappi up for the Heisman last year? Like, didn't he finish in the top 10?
I'm sure he was top 10, yeah.
So the first guy is Austin Reed, the quarterback from Western Kentucky. I believe he led the nation in touchdown passes and yards, or he's at least one of the top guys. I think he broke Bailey Zappi's record, not touchdowns, but yards at Western Kentucky.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah. He was absolutely a stud. He actually started off, I believe, as a D1 quarterback, then transferred to D2, won a D2 national title, then transfers to Western Kentucky, and basically just fills the gap that Bailey Zappi left. And then my other guy with that is Frank Harris at UTSA. The dude was just a touchdown machine this year. He doesn't get as much spotlight because he plays in Conference USA. But those 2 guys, I feel like, deserved some, big name trophy recognition. And they shouldn't be punished because they play for smaller schools. But anyway, at number 9, I'm going to have Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe the best wide receiver in all of college football. I'm surprised there's no wide receivers in this entire list. Especially with all the injuries and everything, that guy deserves to be on a spot. Number 8, I'm going to go Deuce Vaughn. In my opinion, the most, not going to say best running back in college football. He's definitely top 3, but he's the most durable of the guys that would be up for this award out of Blake Corum and Bijan Robinson. Deuce Vaughn has played in every single game this year, which I want to give him respect for, and also the way he played in the Big 12 title game, because without him, K-State does not win that game. Deuce Vaughn is going to be number 8. Number 7, I'm going to go with Michael Penix. I know that, you don't think that he should be a top 10 guy, but I just think, he owned he had the most passing yards in college football through the first 6 weeks, I believe. And
he finished with the most.
Or he did? Okay. But no, dude's an absolute stud, made Washington back into a contender again. Then number 6, I'm going to go Bryce Young. Just kind of a filler. He won the Heisman last year. This year it's just, I don't know if it's a Heisman slump or whatever. Maybe he's focused on the NFL. But he's my number 6. Number 5, I'm going to go C.J. Stroud. I honestly was kind of contemplating maybe putting Marvin Harrison above C.J. Stroud, just because we've seen at times this year that it seems that his wide receivers make him more than he does. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt at that 5 spot. Number 4, I'm going to go Hendon Hooker. I know the injury, and I know the game against South Carolina. But if we're being honest, the South Carolina performance, he actually played pretty damn good. It was just his defense couldn't stop anybody, which isn't his fault. And then number 3, I'm going to go Stetson Bennett. He's not the flashiest guy in the world, but unlike last year where it seemed like Georgia was winning despite him, this year it's turned into Georgia is winning games because of Stetson Bennett. So I'm going to give him some credit there. 1 and 2 are going to kind of be debatable because I was looking at the whole body of work and, the final 2 games. I got Caleb Williams at number 2 just because, he had a fantastic season, put up all the numbers, he's got the glitz and the glamour. I looked at how he played against Utah, and then I looked at how Max Duggan played against Kansas State, both losses. And I thought Max Duggan just barely edged him out just because of that final drive. Just because of that. I mean, I know Caleb Williams had the Heisman moment against Notre Dame, but you're talking about a Heisman moment against Notre Dame, who's 8-4 now, and against a Heisman moment where you're basically giving legit every ounce of energy you have to win a game in the Big 12 title. So for that reason alone, I think Max Duggan would be my Heisman Trophy winner.
Right on. I think it goes without saying that it's going to be between Caleb Williams and Max Duggan. Like, I think it's
unless Stetson Bennett somehow just gets it by default.
Yeah, and I think Caleb Williams is probably going to win it. However, I mean, you can't put away the fact that, Heisman voters and the CFP, all this stuff, they want to have a Heisman Trophy winner in the college football playoff. It is very possible that we could see Stetson Bennett or Max Duggan win that Heisman just because they want to have a Heisman Trophy winner in the CFP.
Yeah, and that's not what it's meant for, but how the committee is with that stuff. But all right, so we'll go ahead and do stunners and bummers champ week. If you want to go ahead first, Lucas.
Yeah, I didn't actually put together a stunner and bummer this week. I know, slacking, but here
man.
I will put it together real quick. There was one guy I wanted to point out because I did see his stats, and he had a really good game. It was, let me get it, Tyjae, I think is how you say it. Tyjae Spears, yeah. Had a really good game against UCF, 22 carries, 199 yards, and a touchdown, averaged 9 yards a carry there. Had a 60-yard rushing touchdown in that game.
Did you see the run I had in the video where he literally hurdled his own to get to the end zone?
Yeah, he's a stud. I'm watching a 60-yarder right now on ESPN, but it's so impressive. 1,300 yards, almost 1,400 yards. I think he'll probably hit that in the bowl game. 15 touchdowns. Like, this guy had a crazy year for the Green Wave. So he is my stunner of the week.
All right, and my stunner, sticking with the UTSA theme, I could go Frank Harris. He went 32 of 37 for 341 yards and 4 touchdown passes and no interceptions. But I'm going to go with his wide receiver, who might be one of the top 5 wide receivers in all of college football. Zakari Franklin, number 4. He had 10 catches for 144 yards, 14.4 yards per catch, with 3 touchdown passes. He's by far and away the best offensive player in the Conference USA outside of his quarterback. And I would not be surprised if we see another Dante Cephas situation where he kind of transfers to go play at a big-time school. Because anytime you watch UTSA, anytime they score a touchdown, you just know it's Jakari Franklin. So that's my stunner of the week.
On to the bummers. Honestly, this week there wasn't a whole lot of terrible performances by guys, but I'm going to say my bummer is probably Drake May. 26 for 42, did have 268 yards, but 2 interceptions. That's just not how you're going to beat a team like Clemson. And with a defense like Clemson's, I'm honestly not surprised that Drake May struggled. He threw one of the worst interceptions I've seen all season, where he on the 98-yard pick six, where he just like I don't even know, he just like tossed it to the dude, and like for no reason whatsoever, he just like handed it to him basically. So yeah, Drake May as my bummer.
All right, so for my bummer, I'm going to go with Purdue quarterback Aiden O'Connell. Michigan gave Purdue many chances to get back into that game, score touchdowns, whatever. They just couldn't do anything once they got in the red zone. But he had 32 for 47 for 366 yards and 2 interceptions, was sacked 5 times. Yeah, he didn't play very well. He had all the yards, but once he got in the red zone, he forced a little too much. But yeah, that's my bummer of the week.
All right.
So I guess this would kind of just be up to me and you. Who would you pick out of everybody for the Week 0 podcast player of the week?
I'm going to say Cam Rising.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that.
310 yards, 3 touchdowns. He got absolutely hit stick on that one play where his helmet flew off.
Was that a penalty, by the way? Because I seen it on the highlights and
nope.
There wasn't a penalty?
No penalty.
Okay.
Then he got right back up and went down and scored a touchdown on that same drive. So, like, Cam Rising, I mean, showed so much heart in that game. It was the same kind of thing as Max Duggan, like, so much heart. And, yeah, I would say that he deserves it. Hey.
So was that hit did it look worse than it was because his helmet came off? Like, it looked really bad.
He really got hit sticked, but it was like it was a clean hit. Like he just hit him hard, and then his helmet flew off. And they were looking at it for targeting. They reviewed it, and there was no targeting on it.
All right. So surprise team of the week.
Surprise team of the week for me. I'm going to say, just because there wasn't a lot of games, it's kind of hard to go with. I'm going to say Akron.
Ooh.
Akron Zips. They lost by 1 point, which hurt my soul because I picked them to win. But they had no business being in the game with Buffalo, who is now obviously bowl eligible and is playing in a bowl game. They had no business being in that game. Probably should have won it. They were up, I think, 16-0. And then ended up losing 22-23. But it was an impressive game by them. And maybe Joe Moorhead will be able to take Akron to higher levels.
So my surprise team of the week is going to be Fresno State. I didn't realize that. I had said last stream that they started the season 1-4, and they had won 7 straight. Their fourth that loss that they had when they went 1-4, their last loss was to Boise State, and where they absolutely got dog walked at Boise. Then to go into the Mountain West Championship game, have to play at Boise again, and you utterly dominate the team that could have potentially wrecked your entire season. That's just impressive to me. So I'm going to go with the real FSU as my surprise team of the week. So meme team of the week.
I'm going to, if I can, I want to send you this.
Did you mute yourself, Lucas?
Yeah, I muted myself because
okay.
something was playing, but I want to send you this and see if you can put it on the put it on here because this is my meme of the week, and it's USC is my meme team of the
It
week,
is?
and you gotta play this clip, which is absolutely hilarious.
All right.
Exposing your DMs. What's happening? Is it not playing?
Is it not playing on your end?
No, I don't see it.
Oh, wait, hold on. I got it. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. I got it. All right, let me do this again. I didn't realize you have to do it separate, but
We got this, guys. Don't worry.
all right, let's see. We should have it now.
Have you seen this clip yet?
No, I haven't. No. I
Oh,
haven't.
good.
All right.
It said "fuck Utah" on there. That's cute. The fuck. Don't give a shit. It is what it is. You know, you can do whatever you want. Put whatever you want on your nails. I'm not gonna judge you for whatever you do. But yeah, hope you liked it. Thank you. That's it.
Oh.
So good, man.
Hey, man, you know,
good.
I'm not homophobic, but Caleb Williams, man, you got something going on with your nails. I mean, like, come on, man.
I guess it's just his thing. I don't know.
Did you see what the Utah social media did in response to that after they won the game? Back to back.
So good. So good, dude.
So yeah, that's the USC's your meme team of the week.
Yep, and I love that response by Cam Rising too, because it was just like so un-PC. Like he just didn't get. He's in media.
I'm surprised that he cussed. I'm like,
yeah, he's just like the fuck. Like I don't give a shit. Oh, freaking block that shit that's in our chat if you can.
But oh my god, is it one of those things?
Yeah,
it is. But anyway, so yeah, my main team of the week, I'm gonna go with the Ohio Bobcats. I didn't realize that their starting quarterback, the Rourke kid, was hurt.
you screwed me over on that one.
I didn't realize Jacoby Jones was hurt as well, so I was kind of screwed both ways. But their offense was absolutely atrocious. But yeah, mainly, I feel like that whole MAC championship was just a big meme because I don't know if you've seen the signs by the Toledo and Ohio fans, and it said
I didn't.
They were holding signs up that said,
"Oh, I did see those."
The only teams in Ohio playing today, like it's taking a shot at Ohio State. So, but seems like Ohio State got the final laugh because they get to play in the playoff, but. But anyway, all right.
Yeah,
now we'll get to the meat of the show, and we'll talk about Dion briefly, but the transfer portal and who goes where. So we'll talk about just kind of some guys, and I'll throw it out there, just kind of some names, and then we'll kind of just give our thoughts on where they go. So I guess I'll start with the good old Storm Duck from North Carolina.
That is his name, Storm Duck?
Yeah, it is.
That's what I thought. My dog is freaking out.
So the only place he can go is to Oregon, right?
Yeah, he has to come to Oregon. I mean, if he doesn't come to Oregon, then I mean, I don't know what he's doing. I guess he could maybe go to Miami because they have like a duck as their. But yeah, got to go to Oregon. I don't even know if we're recruiting him. I have no idea. But the only person that I know is currently in Eugene is Treshawn Holden, wide receiver from Alabama.
Oh, really?
He's currently in Eugene right now, which could be really big for us.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Storm, like you just got to go to Oregon, man.
Yeah,
But
of course.
if he wants to go play with Mario in Miami, he can go play for the fake Ducks.
Yes, the fake Ducks.
But anyway, the next guy we'll talk about is JT Daniels. Where do you think he goes?
I think if he's smart, he goes to the ACC.
Okay.
And the reason being is that he's probably going to have the best chance to play in the ACC out of the teams that need a quarterback.
Any team
And I know
in mind?
it's kind of a homer pick for the podcast, but I don't think that Virginia Tech is a bad idea for him. I think it would be a solid spot for him to land. Virginia Tech, maybe in Miami. There's a lot of teams out there that need a quarterback, and JT Daniels is somebody that could that'll land there. But I think he's going to have to stay in the ACC. ACC, maybe he goes to a different Big 12 school, but I'm sticking with the ACC.
I don't know why, but I could see him going to UCLA because he's a West Coast kid. I can see him going back there if the whole that whole thing doesn't work out. But anyway, next up, kind of a homer guy for you, Lucas, Sean Dollars.
Sean Dollars, I think he was the number 2 running back coming out of high school out of California.
Yep.
He, I don't know, maybe he stays in Cali. I know that Byron Cardwell, who is an Oregon running back, he is pretty much guaranteed to go to UCLA. So I don't see Dollars going to UCLA. I mean, I don't know. It's got to be somewhere that's got a decent, a fast pass kind of heavy type offense, just because Sean Dollars isn't the biggest kid. He's a quick receiving back type guy. So maybe maybe a Stanford. I mean, the way that they were running their offense this year with that Filkins kid is something I could see Dollars doing. I don't know if he could get in there. It's tough to get into Stanford, but
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he probably stays Pac-12, though. I could see him staying Pac.
Okay. What about, let me see, some other guys in here. What about Wisconsin running back Isaac Guerrero? Where do you think you could see him going? You stay in the Big Ten, maybe?
I don't know much about this guy.
He was the backup to Braylon Allen.
I mean,
he's actually a decent guy.
I mean, maybe stay in the Big Ten. Where's he from?
Let me see.
You see a lot of these kids that enter the transfer portal and go back home, so.
He doesn't say where he's from. Let me actually click on this really quick. I can find out. He's from Indiana.
I mean, he could be a Hoosier. He could come back and play for Indiana. That's possible. I don't think he goes to Notre Dame because of your
we got too many
pretty big running back. Yeah, running backs. Maybe I don't know. I could see him staying in that area though. Big Ten country. I could see for sure.
Okay, and let's see. There's a bunch of Alabama guys in the portal. So, I mean, where do you think Treshawn Holden goes? Do you think he goes to be an Oregon Duck?
I think he comes to Eugene. Yeah, I think he's going to be a Duck. And the reason for that is you don't often – I mean, he would have no reason to make a flight out here unless he was, seriously interested because we are pretty freaking far away from Alabama, so from Tuscaloosa. So – the only reason why he would come this way is if he was actually interested. And with the hiring of Will Stein, I think that it'll be the kind of offense that he wants to be in. Pass heavy, just like deep threat type guys, type offense. So I could see Holden coming here. I thought we were going to try to push for a couple other receivers. I didn't know that Trayshawn Holden was even like a possibility, but hey,
All right.
portal's crazy.
Next up is former 5-star cornerback Tony Grimes from North Carolina. Where do you think
I think he goes to the SEC.
SEC?
And the reason for it is he probably is realizing very quickly that the ACC is not the greatest talent, and he probably wants to get the most looks possible. So I could see him going to like LSU, a DB heavy school. Maybe he even goes to Bama, maybe even Georgia, something like that. Like I could see him going to one of those better SEC schools.
It's kind of crazy to think that North Carolina has such a bad defense, but they had 2 5-star corners starting for them. That's insane.
Yeah. Their interior was just terrible.
Yeah. But I guess we'll do one for Luke or for Connor. Armani Chapman, the starting safety for Virginia Tech.
I want him at Oregon.
Ooh, okay.
I want him at Oregon. Our safety situation right now isn't like super good. It is kind of what hurt us a lot, especially in the Washington game. Like Bennett Williams is going to be gone. We'll still have Steve Stevens, but Steve Stevens was really bad. Brian Addison was, Brian Addison. He was not very good either. So getting a good safety would be really good for us. And plus I think we have like 2 freshman safeties coming in. So just having a little bit of experience back there along with these 2 studs that are coming in, I think it would be great. I think it would be great for us.
Yeah, I just don't know if a guy that's on the East Coast would go all the way to Oregon.
That's the hard thing.
Yeah.
But the good thing about having Dan Lanning as our head coach and Tosh Lupoy is that they don't stick to just like California and Arizona like Mario did. Mario Cristobal is like specifically California and Arizona. Lanning likes to go out there to the South and likes to hit the East Coast and stuff. So I think that we can pull guys like that, but it's also hard to see. I feel like ACC guys stay in the ACC for the most part. So I could see him just going to like maybe a better ACC school, like
watch him go to Virginia.
Yeah, go right over to Virginia.
Okay, next up, Spencer Sanders. Where do you think he lands?
So many quarterbacks in the portal. Spencer Sanders. I don't know. Something tells me he goes to the Pac-12, and something tells me he just switches the logo on his orange and black. Honestly,
he goes to Oregon State.
Something I don't know why, but something is telling me that's what happens, and it would be huge for Oregon State if they could get him. Obviously, he's had some troubles in the past, but Oregon State went 9-3. They were one of the only teams in the Pac-12 not to get a transfer quarterback. And so if they could get a solid transfer quarterback that has a lot of experience somewhere else, I think Oregon State can be a 10, maybe even 11-win team this next season if they can get somebody good enough. And Spencer Sanders, he has shown that he can win a lot of games.
He just also shows that he can shit the bed sometimes.
That is true.
But
maybe they don't need that.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I could see him. I could see it. I don't know. He just seems like a quarterback I could see in the ACC. It's weird because I could almost see him playing for like NC State. Like because Devin Leary's moving on. They don't really know who's going to be their quarterback. I don't know. Maybe
man, is that one guy.
That Morris kid who got
it's
Finley, Ryan Finley's little brother. Or you know what? I could see him at Wake. I mean, with Sam Hartman, probably. I'm
Yeah.
surprised he hasn't entered yet, but people saying he's transferring, I could see him going there as well. But next, we'll go ahead and do another homer one for you, Justin Flo. Where does he end up?
I think he's pretty much guaranteed to be at USC next year. I think there's no doubt he'll be at USC. California kid again. Yeah, I think it's pretty much guaranteed. He'll be at USC. I think it was between us and USC in his recruiting anyways, and he chose us. So I think he's going to end up going to USC. His brother is probably going to join him. He's currently with Oregon right now too. He's probably going to go down there. I think it's pretty much already everything but a signature on a piece of paper from going to USC for him.
All right. What about Clemson quarterback DJ Uyunglele?
This one's interesting because he has already said, well, I supposedly the Patriots. Really? I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I believe that.
What?
The Bill O'Brien Patriots next year, is that what he's saying?
Oh.
Anyways, who were we talking about? DJ. I think he does go to the Pac-12 because he, again, is a California kid from St. John Bosco. I think he definitely goes to the Pac-12 somewhere. It all depends. I mean, the biggest thing is where Bo goes. Because if Bo leaves, I think it's pretty much guaranteed that DJ is going to be an Oregon Duck next year. No doubt about it.
Well, my question is because I don't know if you had seen, but Dante Moore was taking an official visit to UCLA today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is that because maybe he's kind of getting cold feet because Bo might come back, and if Bo doesn't, then you could see DJ going there? I mean, do you think depending on what happens with Bo and DJ that could affect whether or not Dante stays?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And the reason for it is because the reason why you go on these official visits and stuff as a college kid is because you might not even be interested in the school. But a school like UCLA is like, hey, we want to have you out on an official visit. You're not going to say no. The reason being is because now you get to see a whole facility and maybe you fall in love with it. Maybe, so keeping your mind open is always a good thing as a college
So there's no
kid.
concern from people about it?
No concern whatsoever. I think everybody's going to be kind of like sitting on the edge of their seat until signing day. For every recruit. I mean, obviously you guys just lost Edwards. Like anything can happen. So everybody's just kind of sitting on the edge of their seat. I think even if Oregon doesn't get Dante, we're going to be perfectly fine because we have proved that we can make transfer quarterbacks good. I mean, Vernon Adams was really good with us. Obviously, Bo Nix has been really good with us. Anthony Brown actually had a couple good seasons with us too. So won a Pac-12 title with Anthony Brown. So we have proven that we can turn transfer quarterbacks into good quarterbacks, even if they weren't great where they were before. However, I really want Dante Moore.
Yeah,
really want Dante.
I'm surprised that I'm surprised Lanning allows your guys' committed players to go take OVs because that's the one thing with Freeman.
I think he sees it the same way. I think he sees it the same way that I do, where it's like, go ahead, go see if you can find if something else is better for you. That's all I care about. That's all I want for you is for you to have what's best for you. I think that we have the best for you, but you can go out there, do your searching, do your whatever it is. But on signing day, when you sign with us, that's it. You're a Duck now. You're not going to go take visits to USC, Michigan State. No, you're a Duck now. So I think that's kind of the idea behind it.
Okay. Yeah, what do
And
you,
plus,
I mean,
they're getting a bunch of free shit. If you go take an official visit somewhere, you're getting free food, you're getting free lodging. Now you get to hang out in LA for a week. Like,
yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
I would do that 100%.
Especially now because it's wintertime in Michigan and he gets to go out to LA.
Get out of the snow, get into like the 60, 70-degree weather that they still have in Los Angeles. Like,
what do you think about because there's been rumblings about DJU to Notre Dame.
I could see it. I think that would be a good spot for him because of the kind of offense that you run. Yeah, I mean, I could totally see it. I think he would be a lot like Deshaun Kaiser, kind of. I think it reminds me a lot of Kaiser, just the way he is, the way he plays.
His only issue is he's got the talent. It's his decision making, and that's stuff that I almost wonder if his performance the last couple of years is because he knows that he's looking over his shoulder.
To me, it reminds me. Well, to me, it reminds me a lot of like JT Daniels. It reminds me a lot of like Bo Nix. These guys were 5-star quarterbacks, the best quarterbacks in their class coming out of high school. And there's just so much expectations surrounding them that it's hard to live up to. And it hurt, it's hard. I mean, Clemson, regardless of, anything else, they just won the ACC title. They're a top, 7 team now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even with DJ, obviously Kate Klubnik played a lot of that ACC title, but like even then, like they're still winning a lot of games. So it's just a lot of pressure on these kids. If he can go somewhere where there's no pressure, there's no like crazy high expectations.
Well, there will be pressure if he comes to Notre Dame. There will be the expectation would probably be a playoff appearance.
Well, right, but it's not going to be on him. It's going to be on the team itself. So he's going to have that pressure off his shoulders. Like, and also going to a team like Notre Dame, he's not going to have to be that Johnny Manziel or that, Jameis Winston or whatever it may be, because he's going to have great running backs with him. He's going to have a great defense on the other side of the field. Like, he's not going to have to be this crazy, crazy good running back or quarterback. And I think that's where Clemson failed him, is that even though they won a lot of games and they did this, they had a good running back, they had a great defense, but then they put too much on his shoulders for him to do, and they just didn't need to do that. No, I don't think Notre Dame would do that either, because they didn't do that with Pine, and Pine had an actually relatively good season.
Yeah.
And he's way less talented than DJ. And way less talented.
I mean, maybe it could also be like a mindset thing, like, hey, his best game of his career was in Notre Dame in Notre Dame Stadium. He goes there to revitalize his career. Maybe that's like, oh, it's a fresh start. This is where I had my best performance in college. I don't know. But I just, it kind of scares me because we've played against him a couple times, and I've seen the good and I've seen the bad. And when DJU is bad, it's like Bo Nix bad. But anyway, we'll go ahead and move on to some other guys. Haynes King from Texas A&M. Where do you think he lands?
I don't know. I don't think he's very good. So
I don't either.
Wherever he goes, I don't think he's going to really play. So I don't think it really matters. Somewhere out of the SEC.
What about Michigan tight end Eric Hall? He's one of the best.
I don't know. I think he's really good. Yeah, I think he's really good, and I think he could end up somewhere like a Notre Dame or an Iowa, where they actually have
use their tight ends.
They use their tight ends, and they have great tight end coaches. So he could go to one of those. I could see him going to one of those teams.
Okay. What are your thoughts on Phil Dracovic transferring again to Pittsburgh?
Good for him. I mean, I don't know.
You don't think that makes it? Do you think he's any better than Keaton Slovis?
Yes and no. I mean, I think he did some good things at BC, but it's remained. We haven't seen it yet. Like, he's had some good games and he's played well before, but then last year, like, he was supposed to be great, got hurt and stuff. So like, It's hard to say. I think he's going to start for Pitt, and I think that Pitt's a good team, and they have that one running back that's just nuts.
Banacanda.
Yeah,
So,
Banacanda. Yeah, he's insane. So I think they could be good. Probably 7-8 wins team.
okay. All right. Where do you think that leaves Keaton Slovis? Where does he go? Does he go back to the West
I
Coast?
think he goes back to the Pac-12. Probably like Cal. I could see Cal.
Yeah. All right, and this is another Pac-12 guy that you might know, Dorian Singer, the Pac-12's leading receiver last year.
So Oregon recruits are heavily recruiting this guy to come to Oregon. So I would love to see him at Oregon. And Dorian, they actually just offered him, and he tweeted about the Ducks a couple days ago. I want him in an Oregon uniform because I think he is really, really good.
The dude made some unbelievable catches. I had some of his one-handed catches. Like,
he's a stud. I think he stays in the Pac.
Okay.
Wherever he goes, I think he stays in the Pac-12.
All right, Kent State All-American wide receiver Dante Cephas. Where do you think he goes? I mean, he's got offers from pretty much everybody, including Notre Dame.
I think he may go to the Pac-12 as well, and I think he may go to a team like, unfortunately, USC, Washington State, maybe even Washington. I could see a lot of receiver transfers going to Washington this next year because, I mean, they throw the ball all over the yard. So,
what do you think about Colorado? Because I was reading yesterday, their OC at Colorado that he just hired was the former OC at Kent State, and that was he was the OC at Kent State when Dante Cephas had his best career year at Kent State.
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, you could see him going there. Let's see. What about Austin Stogner, the tight end from South Carolina? You know, he was a pretty highly sought after recruit.
Was that not the guy that
he transferred from Oklahoma?
No. So he recommitted to Oklahoma.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
Okay,
I
just
saw
recently?
that. He went back to Oklahoma. I saw it on like TND or something like that.
Okay. Let's see. Western Kentucky quarterback Austin Reed, 4,000-yard passer.
He's in the portal?
Yep.
Man. I don't know. Probably a Power 5 school, I'm sure.
Okay. I don't know why he's this guy that
probably
Notre
Big
Dame
12 guy.
I believe Notre Dame's offered him. So, I mean, and he could be. Oh, Mike Wright, the quarterback from Vanderbilt, has entered the portal.
Good.
I wonder where he goes. Let's see. Where do you think Caleb Smith goes? Virginia Tech's top receiver.
That's I could see a Notre Dame out of that one.
Yeah, we've offered him as well. Let's see. Is Deshaun Stribling the guy from Washington State, Channing Stribling's little brother?
I don't know. Is he in the portal?
Yeah, he's in the portal. He's he is second in Pac-12 in receiving yards.
Interesting.
I
found out. I told you guys about it, but the Robert Farrell, the wide receiver, he's number 12, white guy for Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to college with him.
Oh, yeah.
I played football with him, which is weird. It was so strange. So I'm watching the Apple Cup. I'm sitting there, and they start talking about Robert Farrell, and like he was catching some balls or whatever, and then he takes his helmet off, and I see his face, and I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute. I know this kid. I was like, I swear I know this guy. And I look him up, and it was like, yeah, he went to College of the Redwoods. I was like, oh, shit, that's crazy. He was fast as hell. That kid was so fast.
Well, maybe you should get him on the show, Lucas.
Oh, yeah, I could try, but he wouldn't remember me.
But anyway, where do you think former NC State quarterback Devin Leary goes?
That was a big Notre Dame one too, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he'll go somewhere big, I'm sure. Power 5. There's so many quarterbacks. There's so many of these good
Yeah,
players.
there's so many places for them to go.
It's just like we could do this for hours.
What about Graham Mertz? See,
Left? He's gonna go to Bishop Sycamore.
All right. Let's see.
Gotta wrap this shit up, Ryan.
Yeah, we
There's so
do.
many people, dude.
Okay, well, let me go with the final two guys then. Let's just say, I don't know. Where do you think Drew Pine ends up?
Big Ten, Wisconsin.
He goes to Wisconsin.
You guys are just gonna do a straight trade, Mertz
right.
for Pine.
What about Theo Weiss Jr.?
I don't know who that is.
He's the wide receiver from Oklahoma. He was one of their leading receivers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Probably an SEC school because they're going there anyways.
Okay, and then the final one, I guess we'll just go Hudson Card since both Notre Dame and Oregon.
Notre Dame or Oregon, man. Yeah, I don't know. I could see him definitely going to Notre Dame over Oregon. Oregon just has such a weird quarterback situation right now.
Notre Dame does too.
But the fact that, I mean, you guys have a weird quarterback situation, but we're more like, we could end up with too many good dudes, and you guys just don't have any good dudes.
Man, wait,
No, but
Chase Nolan, the starting quarterback for Oregon State, entered?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
DeColdis Crawford?
Go Branson is the starting quarterback.
Did he get benched or something?
Oregon State.
I thought Nolan was supposed to be really good.
He got hurt, and then he didn't get his starting job back.
Oh, okay. So I guess the final two we'll do is DeColdis Crawford.
I don't know, but sick name.
Brennan Armstrong is the final one.
I could see him. I was telling my buddies the other day, I was like, Oregon needs to bring him in. If Washington can do good with a lefty gunslinger, then Oregon needs to just copy
just
him.
do the same thing.
Get a lefty gunslinger.
Do you think that like this year was like a mirage, or do you think it was like legitimately just he's not that good?
No, I think he's good.
Okay.
I think he's good.
All right. Well, we'll finish that there. And then I guess one more thing we'll talk about. Just quick thoughts on Colorado. I mean, what championship or bust, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, give him about a year. I think Deion Sanders is going to find out really quick what the Pac-12 life is like. A lot of people come into this Pac-12 and they just expect this and they expect all this great stuff. Like you look at Lincoln Riley, he got pretty much unscathed throughout the whole season, but he played one good team twice this year and got beat both of those times. Like he didn't have to play Washington or Oregon.
And still lost.
Two of the top teams, and then they lost to Utah twice. So I think Colorado and Deion Sanders are gonna find that out real quick.
Does it scare you as an Oregon fan in the future? Like with them stealing prospects, I mean, do you think they could be a threat? No?
I think they could be a threat, and I think he's gonna be successful, but I think he's gonna be just as successful as Utah, as Whittingham is there at Utah. I think he's going to be just as successful as Lincoln Riley's going to be the next couple years. I think the Pac-12 is slowly becoming one of the better conferences in the country, and they're seeing it really quick. And it's funny because it was not very good for so long that they were like disbanding and everybody was leaving, and obviously USC and UCLA are gone already. But I think it's just getting better and better.
And the fact that Colorado's was the worst team in the Pac-12 this year, and they're probably going to be really good next year. They're probably like the thing is, I don't get why people all of a sudden think that Deion's there now. Colorado's going to get every single player he wants, and they're going to win a natty. Like it's like that. That's not how it happens in college football.
Yeah.
You can't be a team like that And even USC, they went 4-7 last year, or 4-8, and they got Caleb Williams and the best wide receiver in college football last year, Jordan Addison, and they still couldn't do anything.
They pay. I mean, not only just him, but they got Mario Williams from Oklahoma. They got Brendan Rice from Colorado. They got, they didn't get a lot of yeah. They didn't get a lot of defensive recruits. I know. Yep, it's a bet loss. They didn't get a lot of defensive transfers, but they did get a lot of offensive transfers. So you're exactly right. I don't think Colorado is going to be one of those teams that just all of a sudden are going to be super good just because they have Deion Sanders. Now, I don't even know that Deion Sanders is a good coach.
Yeah, exactly.
No idea. At Jackson State, all he had to do was get a couple 5-star and 4-star recruits, and they obviously are going to dominate because those kids would never normally.
Those guys aren't even 3-stars. That's what I was trying to say. Those kids that are playing at that level aren't even 3-stars.
Like Shedeur Sanders, easily a 4-star recruit. Obviously, you look at Travis Hunter, who was a 5-star recruit. You look at Kevin Coleman Jr., who was a big Oregon push. Oregon was trying to get him super fucking hard. I think he was a 5-star too. Mm-hmm. Oregon was trying to get him. It was between us and Jackson State, and he chose Jackson State.
Well, you know what my thing is also, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up soon, but it's okay, say Deion gets the Dylan Edwards of the world. He gets all these 5-stars, or he gets all these star transfers from Alabama or whatever, because I guess Trey Sanders is a Colorado lean.
Yeah,
so, I mean, what happens to those kids when Deion Sanders pulls another Jackson State and in a couple of years when, say, a bigger school comes calling and it's like a 1 or 2 year rental for Colorado and he leaves? It basically just tears your entire team apart, your university apart. I mean, Jackson State, let's be honest, they're probably going to suck. They're probably going to be really bad now that he's left and he's taking all those guys with him, with the exception of Travis Hunter. So, I don't know, man. I don't like it because I don't like the whole pay for players and the whole – I guess I don't understand why kids fall in love with, it's Deion Sanders. These kids weren't even alive when Deion Sanders was playing.
Right.
I guess I don't understand why
flashy. He has a lot of money. It's just kind of like one of those things. I mean, I get why you would want to play with him. Mm-hmm. I understand it. But I also understand people that know the Pac-12, and I don't think he I don't think he gets that he's going to come in. He's coming into an arena of teams. There's a reason why Pac-12 teams don't go to the playoff. It's because we beat the hell out of each other every single week.
Let's be honest, Lucas. Oregon was probably the best team in the Pac-12 this year, and guess what? They finished with 3 losses.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's not like Jackson State and people are acting like what he did at Jackson State was impressive. Now, is it impressive to get those guys to come to Jackson State? Yeah. But that's because you were opening up your own pocketbook and because you're Deion Sanders. But it's one thing to go to a Colorado team that has history. They were really good back in the 90s, but they haven't been good since. Most of these kids don't remember a time when Colorado was good, maybe a couple years ago with Steve Montez. But it's not going to be because Alcorn State was winning the SWAC every single year. So it's not anything special to do that. But I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out. But I'm not buying it right now.
Me neither.
I think Colorado goes 6-6, man. I think they go 6-6 next year.
Which isn't bad. I mean, a bowl game after being one of the worst teams in college football.
They play Nebraska week 1, and then they play at TCU week 2. So.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. But, all right, Lucas.
All right.
Take us out, man?
Let's do it. So this has been the Week 0 podcast. It went a lot longer than what we thought it was going to. But there was a lot of guys in the portal, so we had to talk about it. I am your host this week because Connor decided he didn't want to hang out with us. Lucas, USC.
He didn't. We just completely ignored his comments.
That's okay.
Connor, if
okay.
you were here, man.
So I am Lucas, USC ya later, McKnight, and that is my co-host Ryan, Colorado Blowhards Fravel. And this has been the Week 0 podcast. Peace out, y'all.
See you guys next week with the very special.
We may have a very special guest on next week. So stay tuned.
Tune in. But peace, guys.